You can just smell the wealth as we arrive at the most famous track on the calendar, Monaco. It's round 6 of Season 2. You join us at a track that Spuds has never been fond of in the past, and he hasn't minced his words about it either, but it doesn't mean he doesn't want to win it. Today is a dry day, nice 21 degrees with no chance of rain. 19 corners, one difficult DRS zone into the first corner. Pretty short track, but absolutely no room for mistakes, with the barriers ready to bite in a split second. Loss of concentration, which Spuds has learnt to his dismay on a number of occasions in the past. Moving on to Spuds' lap then. He has already set provisional pole, but feels he can go a bit faster on this, his second run. Cuts turn 1 slightly, but is allowed to keep the lap. Runs up the hill, which can get a bit crowded when you're trying to jostle for position, especially on the first lap. Changes to 4th, going round to Casino. Coming round and avoiding that vicious bump on the downhill braking into this corner. As you can see, Button sets the fastest lap so far, so Spuds does need to keep this clean. Second for 7 and then 8, and round to the famous tunnel under the hotel. And it's going to sweep round and let the car run out a little bit wide. Little kiss to the barrier on the left there. Doesn't affect the time too much though. Down to the tricky chicane of 10 and 11. Gets it spot on. As close to the barriers as you could dare on exit. And then lifts the throttle off onto back just a bit. Just gives a flat run out into the swimming pool, braking into 15, turning in as early as you dare to get good line and exit on 16. Raskas comes up quicker than you think, and a very tricky braking zone at that. 18 and 19 to go as Spuds runs for the line. See what we got here, and there we go. Spuds takes pole with a 1:14.10, 3/10 quicker than his teammate, who currently leads the championship, 81 points. Spuds is in second there with 70. So we had Button and Spuds 1-2 in Spain last time out. Hamilton third. There we go. There's the barman, the pole man. McLaren's sitting pretty at the top of the constructors with what can only be described as a monster package of a car this season. Can the others catch up? Well, it's a long way to go, and plenty of development will be going on behind the scenes. So let's look up the grid lineup for today. Spuds and Button lock out the front row of the grid, with Rosberg and Verstappen behind them. Red Bull and Mercedes on similar pace, roughly a tenth separates the 4 drivers there. Ferrari seemingly struggling, with Vettel in 7th and Raikkonen in 9th, and amongst the Williams pair of Bottas and Massa. Toro Rosso's follow up on the 6th row. Good effort by Wehrlein in 13th, the man are looking to make progress this year and being somewhat successful. Force India's not doing so well. As we make our way to the back of the grid, we find the Haas pair of Palmer and the Saubers, Ericsson and Nasser completing the lineup. Let's move to the start of the race. Here we go. So 4 lights, 5 lights, and we're off. Start of the race, and Spuds makes a good start, covering good Button on the outside into turn 1, and here comes Rosberg up the inside thanks to the open door left in Spuds' absence. We'll have another look at that in a moment as we watch Spuds fly away up the hill and into Casino. A perfect start for him so far, with Rosberg slotting into second. So on board with Button, who gets an okay start, but Spuds was better, and here's Rosberg. You'll just see him on the right here, coming up the inside, aggressively swiping in front of Button, slamming the car into the wall. But here's Raikkonen going side by side with the Toro Rosso up Beau Rivage. He's hanging on for a chance around the outside, but the door is firmly slammed shut by the other Toro Rosso up front. So here we go. There's a small drama going on at the back of the pack, with Magnussen getting into a sandwich with the Force India and the Haas, and in his haste to get going, nearly smashes into the Haas again. This brings out a virtual safety car, where we'll go on board with Spuds. This has been quite an eventful first lap, but Spuds is not phased and setting a good opening lap so far with what he can do under the virtual safety car. You can see, still struggling a little bit trying to match that delta there with the virtual safety car. But the advantage of being out in front is that it means you've got plenty of clean air. So a virtual safety car should be ending just about now. There we go. It's just had the message here, just speeding up and then slowing back down again so I don't get penalised. And there we go, we're returning to racing speed just now. plenty of clean air in front of Spuds here, but still will get slightly caught out with the difference between a light car and a heavy car laden with fuel. As you can see, some of these corners are a bit wider than Spuds will have wanted it to take. So as you can see, running down here, wide, locking up the inside front right there, and then again wide on the hairpin. But luckily Monaco is a track where you can't really get past properly, and that means Spuds is quite comfortably out front, but he cannot make any mistakes really. Rosberg's not far behind, and Button is even closer up behind Rosberg as well. Let's see how this lap goes. It's looking pretty decent so far, not really getting much of a gap on Rosberg, but Spuds does seem to be keeping it clean. Going purple so far, but it's only the second lap of the race, so you can't really read much into that just yet. Everyone is pretty much on the ultra softs here, quite close on the barriers on the exit of Rescas there, and flying across the start finish line to complete the second lap. Quite a few laps to go, 1:17.1, the fastest lap so far. DRS is now enabled, Rosberg 1.4 seconds behind. So looking back here, we see Daniel Ricciardo's engine blowing up on the run down to Portier. This does not, however, affect the race, and no safety car is called for. So more laps fall, and we see Rosberg and Button fighting away for second. Button getting really close, but again, on this track, you are a very hard push to pass anyone as we see them come round to the final corner there. Spuds is up in front somewhere, but he has started to put away a gap now. You can't even see him up the road there. No opportunity for Button to get past as yet, even with DRS. So you see him running up the hill there, trying to look for a way past, but that Mercedes is stronger than it looks. Unfortunately, the McLaren is not that overpowered at this stage of the season yet, even though it is still pretty far ahead, and Button will be wanting to get past Rosberg as soon as possible. After all, he is in the race for the win with Spuds, but Rosberg is holding him up a little bit, so Button does peel into the pits on lap 13. It's coming through to fit what I would assume is the super softs, hoping for a chance to undercut Rosberg. We will see how that plays out. Yes, it is the super softs, the red wall tyre there. Looks almost orange to me, but it is definitely the red wall tyre. The hard tyre is not here this afternoon. We see there's quite a few cars that have gone past there. They've gone behind both Toro Rossos and the Ferrari of Raikkonen. Could be a problem if Button hopes to jump Rosberg in the pits. Back on board with Spuds, who does request a pit in this lap, as he is concerned that the gap is closing between himself and Rosberg, especially now that he's coming up to the first back marker, and Magnussen, who is still running after his first lap collision. Unfortunately, in this reality, you cannot request a pit stop while your teammate is physically in the pits, so Spuds is not necessarily happy with that, considering he won't get in Jensen's way, neither will Jensen get in Spuds' way. He'll be long gone before he gets back to the pit entry, so he has to request again, and this time gets it. Not that he wasn't going to go in anyway, but still, closing up to Magnussen can be slightly worrying for Spuds. It's maybe difficult to get past, especially on this track. So, you can see Spuds getting closer to Magnussen there, locking up slightly on the front left there, but he's so close to Magnussen. Almost perfect timing as Spuds peels into the pits, and he's going to go for the super softs, pretty much sticking to what everyone else is doing today. See him on the long drive down to his pit box. It seems like forever at 37 miles an hour, but there you go. Nice 2.6 second pit stop, quite safe. Rosberg does take the lead of the Grand Prix, and then Hamilton is third, he's also on the super softs. So Rosberg's tyres should be starting to wear off around about now, but with only being 10 seconds up the road, Spuds should easily retake the lead once Rosberg pits. Should be pretty easy. Spuds is in front of Sainz as well. I'm not quite sure if Sainz overtook Hamilton there, but he has now appeared in third place. Unless Hamilton has gone into the pits, and is doing a slightly different strategy. The Toro Rossos are looking quite racy today. And it's not just Sainz, it's Kvyat as well. Both running in what I assume will be 3rd and 5th right now, unless Hamilton has taken the pit stop, where he will be in 4th. Not quite sure where Button is, but he did come out behind those two Toro Rossos. But speaking of Rosberg, here he comes in, fitting the Super Softs, and let's just see where he comes out here. Just ignore the camera change here. I should have edited that a bit slicker than that, but whatever, it doesn't affect too much. So let's see. Pit exit. You can see the cars coming past now, so that's a Toro Rosso, another Toro Rosso, and Button's just behind there. Can he get out in front of him? No, he's actually in a Toro Rosso sandwich. So Button's not managed to get past the Toro Rossos, which gives Rosberg a bit of breathing space as he comes around the outside using DRS on turn 1, hangs out on the outside to retake 2nd, while Button has a great run out the corner to take Kvyat and goes up side by side up the hill, not without a bit of argy-bargy, mind you, but gets the move done into Casino. Not too bad. Another lap later, Button uses DRS on Sainz to move up into 3rd, doing the same move Rosberg pulled a lap earlier. Sainz trying to hang in there, but he can't quite manage it. On board with Spuds again, we see that he has caught up to Palmer and Nasser up front, who need to get out of the way as soon as possible, seeing as Rosberg and Button aren't going to be too far down the road. It's always a bit of a worry trying to overtake. They're 11 seconds behind Rosberg and Button. Rosberg does have a 3-second gap on Button though, which I assume will be eaten into quite quickly. So we're coming up to Palmer on the first turn here, who should get out of the way. Not quite, but he is going to get out of the way on the run up the hill here. There we go, that's not too bad. Smooth enough driving from Spuds today, as he keeps the car in one piece, hasn't knocked it around, hasn't lost any bits of his front wing just yet. I always say yet because it's always a possibility. On here we are, lap 22. It's the longest race of Monaco Spuds has ever done before. He's not feeling too bad. He's getting into a bit of a rhythm today, and is learning to sort of respect the track a bit more. Not that he's going to become a fan of the track, mind you, but you know, he does. He's coming round. He's starting to respect it now. So coming up behind Nasser now, going through swimming pool, the swimming pool section, 15 and 16. Not bad. Just trying to see where Rosberg and Button are on the times. Just excuse me, making a bit of noise in the background there, just ignore that. So Nasser looking like he's going to get out of the way pretty soon, and well, sooner than Spuds expected really. Luckily Spuds wasn't going too quickly around turn 1 and goes up nicely the inside of Nasser. So here we are back on board with Button, and he has caught Rosberg again after can't talk today. After passing the Toro Rossos, we can clearly see the McLaren has the pace, but there's no way of getting past that Mercedes. And here we are, you can see Rosberg a lap later on struggling to get past the Sauber, even though he's getting lapped. The closeness of that needless battle does put Rosberg's race at risk as they go side by side past the swimming pool there. Just going to prove that the AI is not biased at all and just gets in the way of anyone looking to pass under blue flags, but luckily it's Spuds' day today and not the AI's, in this case Rosberg. So we move on to the final lap of the race, lap 39, and Spuds has had an easy time today. Kind of a boring race for him as he didn't really need to fight anyone, but he is just glad that he brought the car home in one piece and is on his way to the win. Still half a lap to go though, so anything could still happen. Going through the tunnel for the last time this season. He can't quite believe his luck this time round. I think the race Would have been a bit harder had Button not got overtaken by Rosberg on the first lap there. Could have been a very different story. A couple of mistakes on this lap though, flying over the curbs there. But it doesn't really matter. There's nothing that's going to get in the way of him and that first place trophy. So here we go. Spuds wins in Monaco. Well played today, no major mistakes, and the team will be very happy with the double podium today. Unfortunately, Jensen could not find a way past Nico in the final few laps, but will Spuds mind? I don't think so. So there we have it. Spuds, Rosberg and Button on the podium today. And look at that, he's quite happy with that one. Little congratulatory clap of the hands from Jensen there. So the top three, Jensen losing that second place. Verstappen holds on to that fourth place in front of Hamilton. Great showing from the Toro Rossos today. In 6th and 7th, Sainz and Kvyat. They done quite well. Ferrari and Williams will be disappointed that they didn't make any progress in the race, although Rio Haryanto finishing a strong 12th from Manor in front of his teammate. The lower half of the table doesn't show too much movement. Kevin Magnussen had a nightmare of a race, finishing in 21st thanks to that first lap shenanigans, and Ricciardo retiring due to mechanical failure, which we can only assume is the engine. Looking at the standings, Jensen retains the lead of the championship going forward onto Canada, but that gap has reduced right down to one single point. Who knows where we'll be later on in the season, but with 2 wins apiece, the fight between Spuds and Button is heating up. Ricciardo falls to 5th thanks to that DNF, moving Hamilton and Rosberg up to 3rd and 4th respectively. On the lower half, Rio Haryanto moves up 3 positions thanks to that 12th place. No points, but that leaves him next to his teammate going forward. In the Constructors' Championship, McLaren are 54 points clear at the top, with Mercedes 2nd on 137, Red Bull 3rd on 97. No changes of place today, but the disappointment of the season so far is Force India, who have only managed to get net 4 points in 6 races. They would have been expecting a better start than this. So here we are, Spuds collects his trophy after a nice day at the office, and all that remains for me to say is thank you for watching and hope you can join us for round 7 in Canada. I'll see you then.